activating the market and ensuring that we have a automated settlement system, which is why we have a CSCS today. Right. Now, from a personal perspective, most people don't know that, but Alile hired me in 1993. That was my first entrance to the capital market back in that day. And when I came to meet him, he asked, I get interviewed, and I think within a couple of weeks, found that probably I fit into the environment and gave me a contract. So I'm forever grateful to him for introducing me to the market. And also, we'd like to, commiserate with the family. They are part of our family in terms of the community and for what he has done. And so we are celebrating him today rather than, mourning his departure.
Alile was, in my opinion, a major pillar of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. In his time, he actually brought in so much by way of new ideas, initiatives, strengthening the organization and the perception as well as the status of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. He actually led in a very special way because he was a very humble gentleman, but he led in a special way whereby he was like collegiate with his colleagues and all the younger ones. He was a source, an inspiration of sort of professional excellence and development. He actually, in his time, transformed the exchange by including what I would like to call a measure of Nigerianization, whereby many more of those people who are now currently stockholders were granted the license. And indeed, one would believe that he was a very strong pillar of today's stock exchange.
What major message do you think you need to pass across to the contemporary leaders of today as what can be learned from the late Mr. Alile?
Clearly, one thing is clear. Today, he is no more. So, he will only be remembered by whatever he has done. Therefore, for all of us who are still on the scene, we should take every day as our opportunity to make history. Making history meaning the impact we have on institutions, on the community and ourselves, on our economy, particularly a place like the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The capital market is a major anchor of the national economy. Therefore, my feeling is that those who are currently holding it, and from what I've seen coming to the exchange today, I believe they also know that they are instruments in the hands of God to make history and make life much worth better living for Nigerians by reason of the quality of work that they put to our assignment, and also by reason of the standards that they lay, because the stock exchange is a global phenomenon. Our standard must be comparable, must be global. World class, that is exactly what our standard must be like. And I'm impressed with what I have seen, that we are moving in the right direction. Thank you very much.
Finally, sir, do you think we should start talking about immortalizing him? Any thoughts on that, sir?
Well, he's already immortalized. Because whatever we do now, we do. But what he has done, the works, things that he has accomplished when he was here, are sufficient to immortalize him. But of course, those of us who are still living, anything that we do to improve can only be an improvement, an embellishment of history. He's made his own history. And it is now up to us to also make our own history in our time.
Those are two key figures that we have in the Nigerian Stock Exchange there. Well, let's move on now. The NSE is to be receiving Skyway Aviation Handling Company, that's SACO. It's already a PLC and no longer SACO. Well, we have the privilege of getting the CEO of Afrinvest Securities in person of Ayodeji Abel joining us on the show this evening. Good evening, and thank you for joining us on the program
Good
again.
Evening, and thanks for having me.
Good to know that SACO is coming to the NSE. Offer opens on November the 12th, this Monday, and ends on December the 19th. What's your expectation of this IPO, basically?
Yes, I think it's positive in the right direction because when you check this would be in the last 4 years that we got any IPO on the exchange, and we believe that based on though I've not really analyzed the full performance of the company, but based on the discussions, we believe that based on the performance within the last 9 years that it's been privatized, that it's going to enjoy significant interest from investors. And looking at part of the privatization initiative of the government, that it's something that we would also encourage investors to see how you diversify. We know it only NACO is the only company listed within that particular sector.
Yeah.
And having this SACO to join would also help diversify, giving investors other alternative companies that they can also invest. And also for the company, it will signal, help them also access more capital, as well as also showcase how government privatization can work. And that can also encourage government to also see how they can privatize some of the other companies that currently are not performing in terms of productivity, zero, and funds have continued to be allocated to those sectors on an annual basis.
But one thing I've noticed, you talked about NACO being listed and tradable, of course, is about the only aviation company we have there. I don't know if Air Service is involved now. But for NACO and a couple of others now, it looks like investors don't really have much appetite for aviation stocks.
Yes, what drives appetite is performance. So investors are there to earn returns. So depending on the performance of the company, so before it can be listed or coming out for an IPO, we're sure that we'll see the 5-year historical analysis that will show how, in terms of profitability on a year-on-year basis, it has been improving. And in terms of its net asset, how it has also been improving on a year-on-year basis. These are some of those metrics, the return on equity, return on asset that investors would check, and also the potential to pay dividend. These are some of those factors that the investors would consider before they put their money in the bank.
I know by the time you do your analysis, you'll be able to understand if they've drawn some dividends or not. But then we have to go on a quick break now. We'll come back after this break, time out, and we'll continue the program with focus on SACO, IPO, and of course other issues on the capital markets.